Have you ever noticed how some people walk into your life and change something inside you forever? Not just your routine, not just your emotions, but your soul. There's a connection so deep, so intense, that even after distance, silence, and heartbreak, it never truly disappears. Because when two soulmates are genuinely meant for each other, their story rarely begins like a fairy tale. It begins like a mystery. One moment, they feel drawn together in a way they can't explain. The next moment, life seems determined to pull them apart. Timing becomes complicated. Feelings become overwhelming. And suddenly what felt magical becomes confusing. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Real soulmate connections are not fragile. They are tested. And if this message found you today, maybe it's because your soul already knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because when two souls are destined to meet, the universe doesn't simply hand them an easy love story. It creates transformation first. At the beginning, everything feels electric. Conversations feel effortless, eye contact feels dangerous, even silence feels meaningful. You meet them, and suddenly something inside you wakes up. You start noticing little things. The way your heart reacts around them. The way your mind keeps replaying their words. The strange comfort you feel, even when you barely know each other. It's different from attraction, different from obsession, different from temporary excitement. It feels familiar, almost like remembering someone instead of meeting them for the first time. And that's where the intensity begins. Because soulmate connections don't just bring love to the surface. They bring wounds to the surface too. The fears you buried, the insecurities you ignored, the trust issues you pretended were healed. Suddenly, everything hidden inside both people rises at once, and instead of flowing smoothly, the connection becomes overwhelming. One person gets scared and pulls away. The other feels abandoned and confused. Communication changes, energy shifts, and both people begin wondering the same painful question. If this connection was real, why does it hurt so much? But pain does not always mean something is wrong. Sometimes pain appears because something powerful is trying to grow. See, temporary relationships often stay comfortable because they never go deep enough to challenge you. But soulmate connections touch parts of you that ordinary relationships can't reach. That's why separation often happens, not because the connection failed, but because growth became necessary. Life separates them so they can become who they need to be. And during that separation, something strange begins to happen. No matter how hard they try to move on, they can't fully erase each other. They may stop talking, they may date other people, they may pretend they're over it. But deep inside, the connection remains alive, and sometimes it shows up in the quietest moments, late at night, during random memories, through songs, dreams, familiar places, or sudden emotions that appear out of nowhere. You could be doing completely fine, and then suddenly their name crosses your mind for no reason at all. That's the part people struggle to explain logically. Because soulmate energy doesn't always disappear with distance. Sometimes it becomes even louder in silence. And here's what's fascinating. Both people often feel it at the same time. One thinks about reaching out while the other suddenly feels emotional. One starts healing while the other begins reflecting. One starts missing the connection exactly when the other tries hardest to forget it. It's almost like an invisible thread continues pulling them toward each other, even when life places oceans between them. But the universe is patient. It doesn't rush soulmate connections, because timing matters. A lot. Sometimes two people meet before they are emotionally ready for the love they're capable of sharing. One may still be healing from past heartbreak. One may still fear commitment. One may still need to discover self-worth. And until those lessons are learned, the relationship struggles to survive peacefully. That's why many soulmate connections go through cycles, coming together, pulling apart, returning again, not because the love is weak, but because the souls involved are evolving. And every separation teaches something important. Pride softens, maturity grows, communication improves, fear slowly loses control. The people they were at the beginning are not the same people they become later. That's the hidden purpose behind the distance. Transformation. Because soulmate love is not just about finding someone who makes you happy. It's about becoming the version of yourself capable of sustaining deep love without destroying it through fear, ego, or emotional wounds. And that process takes time, sometimes years. But here's the beautiful part. When two soulmates are truly meant to reunite, life keeps creating strange pathways back to each other. You may accidentally run into them after months apart. They may suddenly contact you after thinking about you nonstop. Mutual friends may mention them unexpectedly, or you may simply feel deep inside that the story isn't finished yet. And often you're right, because soulmate connections don't end easily. They pause, they transform, they wait. But when the timing finally aligns, something changes. The reunion feels different, calmer, softer, more grounded. The chaos that once existed begins fading away. Why? Because both people have grown. Now they understand each other in ways they couldn't before. Now they know what losing each other felt like. Now they value the connection instead of taking it for granted. That's why soulmate reunions often feel more peaceful than the first meeting. The first phase awakens the connection, the second phase teaches the lessons, and the final phase creates stability. But let's be honest for a moment. Not every soulmate story becomes permanent immediately, and that's important to understand. Soulmates are not always meant to arrive and instantly stay forever. Sometimes they arrive to awaken you, to transform you, to show you what real emotional depth feels like, to break patterns you've carried your entire life. But when two people are truly aligned, deeply connected, and willing to grow, the bond keeps finding its way back, again and again. That's why some people remain unforgettable no matter how much time passes. You can love other people, smile again, build a new life, and still feel that one connection living quietly in your heart. Not because you're weak, not because you're obsessed, but because some souls leave fingerprints on your spirit. And once that happens, you are never completely the same again. You begin seeing love differently. You stop craving shallow connections. You stop settling for conversations that lack depth. Because once you've experienced a soul-level bond, ordinary attention no longer satisfies you. And ironically, that's often when soulmate energy becomes strongest. When you stop chasing, when you stop forcing, when you begin healing yourself instead of obsessing over outcomes. Because soulmate love is not built through desperation. It's built through alignment. And alignment changes everything. You become more emotionally aware, more patient, more honest with yourself. You stop asking, how do I make them stay? And start asking, are we both becoming ready for the love we deserve? That shift matters. Because soulmate connections thrive when both people grow individually, not when one sacrifices themselves trying to hold the relationship together alone. Real soulmate love is balanced, mutual, healing, not perfect, but real. And one of the strongest signs of a true soulmate connection is this. Even after pain, there's still love underneath the hurt. Not toxic attachment, not dependency, but genuine care. Even after silence, even after mistakes, even after distance, something inside both people still hopes, still remembers, still feels connected. And sometimes that connection becomes impossible to ignore forever. That's when destiny begins moving. One reaches out, the other responds. Conversations restart, walls slowly fall. And what once seemed impossible suddenly feels natural again. Not because the universe magically solved everything, but because the people involved finally became emotionally prepared for what the connection required. That's the part nobody tells you. Soulmate love is not just about finding the right person. It's also about becoming the right person. And maybe that's why the journey feels so intense, because it changes both souls forever. So if there's someone you can't fully forget, someone who changed you deeply, someone whose energy still lingers in your heart, no matter how much time passes, don't immediately assume the story is over. Some connections are still unfolding behind the scenes. Some souls are still growing toward each other. And sometimes distance is not the end of the story. Sometimes it's the chapter that prepares both people for the love they couldn't handle before. But remember this carefully. A soulmate connection should never make you lose yourself completely. Real love does not ask you to abandon your worth, your peace, or your identity. The right connection will challenge you, yes, but it will also help you grow. It will inspire healing, honesty, and emotional maturity, not constant suffering. And if two souls are truly meant to build something lasting together, both people eventually learn that love alone is not enough. Communication matters, trust matters, effort matters, timing matters. Healing matters, because destiny may bring two people together, but growth is what helps them stay together. And maybe that's why soulmate stories are remembered so deeply. Not because they are perfect, but because they are transformational. They teach people about patience, forgiveness, self-worth, emotional depth, and the kind of love that reaches beyond surface attraction. So if life has separated you from someone who still lives quietly inside your heart, don't rush to force answers. Sometimes clarity arrives slowly. Sometimes souls reconnect when least expected. And sometimes the universe waits until both people are finally strong enough to love each other correctly. Because when two soulmates are truly destined for one another, life keeps pulling them back toward the same path. Not always quickly, not always easily, but meaningfully, again and again and again. Until one day the timing finally stops fighting them, and the love that once felt impossible suddenly feels like home. So trust the journey, trust the lessons, trust the growth happening inside you right now. Because real soulmate connections don't disappear with time, they evolve. And when the connection is genuine, no amount of distance, silence, fear, or temporary separation can erase what the soul recognizes as real. Some people enter your life for a season, but soulmates? They leave echoes in your heart forever. And if two souls are truly meant to walk through life together, the universe has a beautiful habit of bringing them back into alignment. Until this time, they don't lose each other again.